Hello, here we are again. We're going to find out now what Samuel is going to tell Saul, because you remember he invited him to the feast where they were sacrificing. He gave him the best part of the sacrifice, the thigh, and then he had him spend the night. And the next day he said, send your servant on ahead because I have something to tell you that the Lord wants me to tell you. So here we go. Then Samuel took a flask of olive oil and poured it on Saul's head. Excuse me, I all of a sudden got itchy because I trimmed my bangs and I probably have little pieces of hair. I brushed my face off with a brush, but a makeup brush, but who knows. Okay, so then Samuel took a flask of olive oil and poured it on Saul's head and kissed him, saying, "Has not the Lord anointed you ruler over his inheritance? When you leave me today, you will meet two men near Rachel's tomb." Now remember, Rachel was the mother of Joseph and Benjamin, baby Benjamin, and she died in childbirth with baby Benjamin. But she was also the beloved of Jacob, who was renamed Israel by the Lord, okay? And he is basically the father of this line, okay? And Esau was his brother. You remember he stole his brother's birthright, which was to get that big, mighty first blessing from their father. All right, so when you leave me today, you'll meet two men near Rachel's tomb at, Zelzah, Z-E-L-Z-A-H, on the border of Benjamin. They will say to you, "The donkeys you set out to look for have been found. And now your father has stopped thinking about them and is worried about you. He's asking, 'What shall I do about my son?' Then you will go on from there until you reach the great tree of Tabor, T-A-B-O-R. 3 men going up to worship God at Bethel will meet you there. One will be carrying 3 young goats, another 3 loaves of bread, and another a skin of wine. They will greet you and offer you 2 loaves of bread, which you will accept from them." Okay, I don't know what you're doing. Excuse me, I'm having a cat issue here. I don't know what you think you're doing, but stop it. Okay. Which you will accept from them. After that, you'll go to Gibeah of God, where there is a Philistine outpost. As you approach the town, you will meet a procession of prophets coming down from the high place with lyres, L-Y-R-E-S, those are instruments, stringed instruments, timbrels, pipes, and harps being played before them, and they will be prophesying. The Spirit of the Lord will come powerfully upon you, and you will prophesy with them, and you will be changed into a different person. Sort of like what happens to us when we start to walk with the Lord. He creates a new creature, doesn't he? The minute we believe, we become a new creature, one that the Lord can develop. Once these signs are fulfilled, do whatever your hand finds to do, for God is with you. Go down ahead of me to Gilgal. I will surely come down to you to sacrifice burnt offerings and fellowship offerings, but you must wait 7 days until I come to you and tell you what you are to do." As Saul turned to leave Samuel, God changed Saul's heart, and all these signs were fulfilled that day. When he and his servant arrived at Gibeah, a procession of prophets met him. The Spirit of God came powerfully upon him, and he joined in their prophesying. When all those who had formerly known him saw him prophesying with the prophets, they asked each other, "What is this that's happened to the son of Kish? Is Saul also among the prophets?" A man who lived there answered, "And who is their father?" So it became a saying, quote, "Is Saul also among the prophets?" End quote. After Saul stopped prophesying, he went to the high place. Now Saul's uncle asked him and his servant, "Where have you been?" "Looking for the donkeys," he said, "but when we saw they were not to be found, we went to Samuel." Saul's uncle said, "Tell me what Samuel said to you." Now remember, Samuel's known all over the land as a great prophet. Saul replied, "He assured us that the donkeys had been found, but he didn't tell his uncle what Samuel had said about the kingship." Samuel summoned the people of Israel to the Lord at Mizpah and said to them, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought you up out of Egypt, and I delivered you from the power of Egypt and all the kingdoms that oppressed you. But you've now rejected your God who saves you out of all your disasters and calamities. And you've said, 'No, appoint a king over us.' So now present yourselves before the Lord by your tribes and clans." When Samuel had all Israel come forward by tribes, the tribe of Benjamin was taken by lot. Then, I'm not sure what that means. Then he brought forward the tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan. So I guess they threw lots to see who would be presented first. Then he brought forward the tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan, and Matri's clan was taken. Okay, so I guess another lot was thrown out of the different clans of Benjamin. Finally, Saul, son of Kish, was taken. But when they looked for him, he was not to be found. So they inquired further of the Lord, "Has the man come here yet?" And the Lord said, "Yes, he's hidden himself among the supplies." They ran and brought him out, and as he stood among the people, he was a head taller than any of the others. Samuel said to all the people, "Do you see the man the Lord has chosen? There's no one like him among all the people." Then the people shouted, "Long live the king!" Samuel explained to the people the rights and duties of kingship. He wrote them down on a scroll and deposited it before the Lord. Then Samuel dismissed the people to go to their own homes. Saul also went to his home in Gibeah, accompanied by valiant men whose hearts God had touched. But some scoundrels said, "How can this fellow save us?" They despised him and brought him no gifts, but Saul kept silent. Sometimes that's the best thing to do. All right, Samuel 11. Nahash the Ammonite went up and besieged Jabesh Gilead. Now remember, the Ammonites are Philistines. And all the men of Jabesh said to him, "Make a treaty with us and we'll be subject to you." But Nahash the Ammonite replied, "I'll make a treaty with you only on the condition that I gouge out the right eye of every one of you and so bring disgrace on all Israel." The elders of Jabesh said to him, "Give us 7 days so we can send messengers throughout Israel. If no one comes to rescue us, we will surrender to you." Okay, so Jabesh is being attacked by Nahash, the Ammonite, the Philistine. And he's saying, the only way I'm going to make a treaty with you is if I can gouge out your right eyes and shame you. And the elders of this Israelite community, Jabesh, are saying, just give us 7 days so we can send out messengers. If no one comes to rescue us, we'll surrender to you. So there'll be no treaty, we'll just surrender. Okay, that way they don't get their eyes gouged out. When the messengers came to Gibeah of Saul and reported these terms to the people, they all wept aloud. Just then Saul was returning from the fields behind his oxen, and he said, "What's wrong with everyone? Why are they weeping?" Then they repeated to him what the men of Jabesh had said. When Saul heard their words, the Spirit of God came powerfully upon him, and he burned with anger. He took a pair of oxen, cut them into pieces, and sent the pieces by messengers throughout Israel, proclaiming, "This is what will be done to the oxen of anyone who doesn't follow Saul and Samuel." So he's calling them to war. Then the terror of the Lord fell on the people, and they came out together as one. When Saul mustered them at Bezek, the men of Israel numbered 300,000, and those of Judah 30,000. They told the messengers who had come, "Say to the men of Jabesh Gilead, by the time the sun is hot tomorrow, you will be rescued. When the messengers went and reported this to the men of Jabesh, they were elated. They said to the Ammonites, "Tomorrow we will surrender to you, and you can do to us whatever you like." So they're tricking them. They're not telling them, "Hey, we're going to get rescued." The next day, Saul separated his men into 3 divisions. During the last watch of the night, they broke into the camp of the Ammonites and slaughtered them until the heat of the day. So it sounds to me, I'm thinking the last watch of the night is probably from 3 to 6 in the morning. I mean, I'm not military, but I'm thinking that's what it is. And it's so basically from 3 to 3, 12 hours, they slaughtered them. Those who survived were scattered so that no 2 of them were left together. Then the people then said to Samuel, "Who was it that asked, 'Shall Saul reign over us? Turn these men over to us so that we may put them to death.'" But Saul said, "No one will be put to death today, for this day the Lord has rescued Israel." Because they're proud of Saul and they want to find those detractors who didn't want him and get rid of them, get the evil out of the camp. And Saul said, no one's going to die today. It's the Lord who's done this. He's rescued Israel. Then Samuel said to the people, "Come, let us go to Gilgal and there renew the kingship." So all the people went to Gilgal and made Saul king in the presence of the Lord. There they sacrificed fellowship offerings before the Lord, and Saul and all the Israelites had a great celebration. All right, one more. 1 Samuel chapter 12. Samuel said to all Israel, "I've listened to everything you said to me and have set a king over you. Now you have a king as your leader. As for me, I'm old and gray, and my sons are here with you. I've been your leader from my youth until this day. Here I stand. Testify against me in the presence of the Lord and his anointed. Whose ox have I taken? Whose donkey have I taken? Whom have I cheated? Whom have I oppressed? From whose hand have I accepted a bribe to make me shut my eyes? If I have done any of these things, I will make it right." "You have not cheated or oppressed us," they replied. "You've not taken anything from anyone's hand." Samuel said to them, "The Lord is witness against you, and also his anointed is witness this day that you have not found anything in my hand." "He is witness," they said. Then Samuel said to the people, "It's the Lord who appointed Moses and Aaron and brought your ancestors up out of Egypt. Now then, stand here, because I'm going to confront you with evidence before the Lord as to all the righteous acts performed by the Lord for you and your ancestors. After Jacob entered Egypt, they cried to the Lord for help, and the Lord sent Moses and Aaron, who brought your ancestors out of Egypt and settled them in this place. But they forgot the Lord their God, so he sold them into the hand of Sisera, the commander of the army of Hazor, and into the hands of the Philistines and the king of Moab, who fought against them. They cried out to the Lord and said, "We've sinned, we've forsaken the Lord and served the Baals and the Ashtoreths. But now deliver us from the hands of our enemies, and we will serve you." Then the Lord sent Jerubbaal. Do you remember who that is? That was Gideon. Barak, Jephthah, remember Jephthah was, I believe, the son of the prostitute who led them, and Samuel, and he delivered you from the hands of your enemies all around you, so that you lived in safety. But when you saw that Nahash, king of the Ammonites, was moving against you, you said to me, "No, we want a king to rule over us," even though the Lord your God was your king. Now here is the king you have chosen, the one you asked for. See, the Lord has set a king over you. If you fear the Lord and serve and obey him, and do not rebel against his commands, and if you both and the king who reigns over you follow the Lord your God, good. But if you do not obey the Lord, and if you rebel against his commands, his hand will be against you, as it was against your ancestors. Now then, stand still and see this great thing the Lord's about to do before your eyes. Is it not wheat harvest now? I'll call on the Lord to send thunder and rain, and you'll realize what an evil thing you did in the eyes of the Lord when you asked for a king. Basically saying you really hurt the Lord's heart. You rejected him and asked for a human being to lead you. Then Samuel called on the Lord, and that same day the Lord sent thunder and rain, so all the people stood in awe of the Lord and of Samuel. The people all said to Samuel, "Pray to the Lord your God for your servants, so that we will not die. For we have added to all our other sins the evil of asking for a king." "Do not be afraid," Samuel replied. "You have done all this evil, yet do not turn away from the Lord, but serve the Lord with all your heart." In other words, don't give up. "Do not turn away after useless idols." You notice this is a theme? Household gods and Ashtoreth and Asherah poles and Baals. This is a theme. Get rid of these foreign gods. You have to ask yourself, what's in my house that I'm saying is more important than God Almighty and his precepts? They can do, it could be a person, place, or thing. You name it. "They can do you no good, nor can they rescue you." So things you idolize, things we idolize, can't rescue us because they're useless. "For the sake of his great name, the Lord will not reject his people, because the Lord was pleased to make you his own. As for me, far be it from me that I should sin against the Lord by failing to pray for you. And I will teach you the way that is good and right. But be sure to fear the Lord and serve him faithfully with all your heart." These are Samuel's words coming right to your heart and my heart right now. "Consider what great things he's done for you." God, he got me off drugs. It was his strength, not mine. What human being can stand against heroin and addiction? Only Jesus has that kind of strength and power. "Yet if you persist in doing evil, both you and your king will perish." So basically he's saying, you've got your king, now take care of it. Serve the Lord, you and the king. Don't screw up or you're all going to die. Remember, the Israelites were often threatened with being removed from this life, okay? They were often threatened with death, because the Lord is starting with them to make them into the people he wants to represent him in all the world. And Satan is doing his best to destroy them and has gone after them for centuries now. I love you very much. I will see you tomorrow. We'll get into Samuel 13. Let's even see if there is a Samuel 13, because that was, let's just look at this. How many books in Samuel? 1 Samuel. Oh, I hear my dog snoring. Now, isn't that funny? Okay, there's only 15. Wait. 15. But then it looks like it says 16. All right, so it matters not. We're going to do 13 tomorrow. So we might finish this book and go into 2 Samuel as soon as we're done. I love you. Pray for me. I'll pray for you. And you know what? Remember to pray for those who've hurt you. Today, I walked by the piano and accidentally bumped into a little baby picture of Juliet. Well, she was about 5. And it fell over, and I picked it up and I looked at it and I said, you know what? I'm going to pray for you right now. And I really interceded for her. And I said, no matter what's going on, I just pray that you don't forget the Lord, that you know where to turn, you know, and on and so forth. Just pray for them. Someday I'll tell you about an experience I had with a pastor who was prophesying over me about my family. And his message to me was, you're not out of this tunnel yet, but just forgive. Just forgive. And I remember his voice saying to me, just forgive. It's important, folks. If the Lord said when I was sleeping, you know, I'm coming back very soon, get ready, that means start forgiving people. Because, and I mean, really, just say it over and over if you have to. You know, I forgive Juliet. I forgive Gabrielle. Because those are my daughters, for those of you who don't know. Because we want to be ready. We don't want to go in front of the Lord holding unforgiveness in our heart. The feelings, don't worry about the feelings. Just tell the Lord that you will to forgive them. You forgive them. You're every day. You know, like, in other words, I really do forgive my daughters. But sometimes I get these bad feelings and I'm thinking, well, that doesn't feel like forgiveness. But I've learned to separate them and say, those are just feelings. And those are feelings because I feel angry at what they're doing. But I do forgive them. And I want to give that to the Lord. I want to present that to him and say, please don't forget, Father, that I really do forgive my daughters because I love them so much. So don't get too worried, with emotions coming. I mean, if it's hate, well, then you need to ask, please remove this hate. But you'll find as a Christian, it's kind of hard to hate anybody when you're a Christian. I've said that often. I just don't hate anybody. But what I do hate, I hate evil. Gosh, I hate evil with a vengeance. And wherever I see it, I just put laser sights on it and I expose it. So I love you. Let's look at Ollie here. Hi, Ollie. Oh, he's going to jump down. Okay, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. God bless you. Bye-bye.